Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Red Line Talk Show. We are thrilled to have with us a truly remarkable artist whose music has resonated on stages across the globe. Gjilberta Lucaj-Cohen is a renowned concert cellist based in New York City, whose career began at the age of 13 when she performed for Pope John Paul II in Vatican City. Today,
Impressive.
she joins us to share her journey, her inspirations, and the unique blend of music that defines her art. Please join me in welcoming the incredibly talented Gjilberta Lucaj. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Welcome,
Hi.
Gjilberta.
Thank you so much for having me here. Since you started, I've been a fan of yours, so I was hoping
thank
that
you.
I was kind of like
You were
secretly
waiting for
hoping
us.
you'd invite me sometime, but I didn't know it would be so soon, so I'm very thankful and honored to be here.
Well,
We're
thank
honored
you.
to have you here.
Thank you for coming. I guess just we want to know a little bit about your background, right? Where
Yeah.
you're from originally, and when you started in the United States, when you
Yeah.
came here.
So I was born and raised in Shkodër, Albania.
Shkodër, okay.
Yes, and the best city.
No,
I'm
let's
kidding.
not get into that because
For those-
Actually, the Silla family, back in the late 1800s, we actually originated from Shkodër.
Of course, that's why we're besties.
Yes, that's why.
I'm sorry. Okay, he's gonna have trouble with this one. But
every
anyhow,
city
I was-
is beautiful. in
Yes,
Albania,
it's
yes.
true. You're
He's
right.
from the south, so it's
I
like,
know, right? Exactly. Anyhow, so I was born and raised in Albania, and my mother played the piano a little bit, but during communism, it was really difficult for a woman
Yeah.
to play and to continue studies. And so I was 4 years old, I believe, and she said she wanted me to play the piano, right? So we went to the school, the only music school that we had, and there were literally 4 pianos in the whole school. And the kids who were older took precedence.
Yeah.
And so because I started school early. I started 5 years old because I'm a January birthday. So
Oh,
it's
me
like,
too.
oh yeah, okay, January 13th. You?
28.
Okay, good. Still January
Yeah,
babies.
January
We're the
babies, yeah.
she's
toughest.
Capricorn, you're
Yeah.
Aquarius.
Yeah, we're
I'm the best one,
perfect.
Pisces.
Okay, good. We're all good together.
Yeah, we're good.
Anyhow, so we go. It's really funny, and I want to say this because it's so interesting, because I want to I want to show how humble the beginnings of Albania are, and how our community is always so amazing, and I'm always amazed from when I hear about everybody.
Yeah.
But anyways, we go there and. They give me a little test, and they say, if you have the musical
Music ear, yeah.
Yeah, and so I pass, of course, and whatever. I don't remember.
It's natural for you, so of course you pass.
Well, I don't know. But it was like, my mom said I passed, whatever. It was pretty scary. They put me in a room with people, like 3 people, it's like, what the heck? And then, and they said yes. And then my mom said, oh, yes, I would love her to start piano. And they said, well, we only have 4, but only 2 are working.
So it's 2.
So it's 2.
Yeah.
And my mom is like, well, I went and saw the school. And she's like, yeah, but the other 2, did you play? And she's like, no, I didn't play them. But she's like, yeah, so there's 2. So your daughter would be able to practice only at 6:30 in the evening. My mom is like, excuse me, she's supposed to be sleeping. She's 4 years old, 5 years old. And they're like, so no. So because I was always kind of a tall and like a very robust child and energetic, they're like, oh, but you know what? We don't have enough girls on cello.
Okay.
So why don't we start her on cello? And my mom, she's like, oh, that was my second instrument. I love the cello. I didn't even know that, because she wasn't. So no, she's like, I didn't know that you could start so early. And, and
because
so
it's such a big instrument.
it's a big instrument.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not like here in America where like you can have a cello this big, like a little violin, right? And
Yeah.
I started in half size. So the cello is like twice bigger
Taller
than me
than-
because
yeah.
they didn't, and it had holes in it. So let's just say I was not a fan.
So funny story. You don't know this, by the way. I also my mom took me to a musical school
yeah.
to test me for a musical ear.
Yeah, yeah.
So I passed that
Of
too.
course. We all pass.
And listen to this. I wanted to play the guitar.
Uh-huh.
So my mom was like, no, we're gonna have you learn the cello.
Really? I
Yes.
didn't
So
know
I
that.
That's
started taking I started taking private
like, no.
classes
For cello, yeah.
for cello. I hated it.
I know. Me
I
too.
really hated it.
I know.
It took me, I would say, only 2 lessons. I'm like, I'm done.
I played the clarinet, and then because I was so tall, 6
I love
foot girl.
clarinet. Would be my second instrument. That would be like my if I
Then
didn't play cello, I'd play clarinet.
One of the
So
conductors was like, "Here's bass clarinet because you're big, you gotta use the bass." clarinet. I was like, okay.
So that was my cello story. So
Are you serious? Well, we
So I
have same
appreciate-
beginning. We have the same beginning because I hated it.
Yeah,
And
but she persevered and continued.
persevered.
She gave
No,
up.
I
God
didn't
bless you,
persevere.
yeah.
I have to say this, and for all the classical musicians that are, that they continued in life, most of us who kind of made it, they
Hated
were all
it?
forced. I'm sorry. There isn't one of us who's not been
A
forced.
good friend of mine plays the cello in Albania. Maybe you know him, Sokol Kochiaj.
Of course, yeah, I know.
That's,
I've heard. Oh,
that's
that's
so cool.
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know he played the
I
cello.
started with him because we were both in the same class.
Oh,
and-
that's so cool.
yeah, that's how I met him.
Yeah, I've heard. I don't think I know him personally, but I've heard him because all the
You all
us
know each
cellos.
other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's not that
sometimes they
many.
call, like they write me if they need like
Yeah.
some girl came from Pristina not too long ago, and she's like, I know you don't know me, but I'm a cellist and I need a cello here because they didn't pay for me to come here. But I'm playing with this little group here. Can you find my cello? I was like, girl, I'm your Bible here.
Yeah, I'm the queen. the
Yeah,
cello.
it's like I'll give you as many cellos as you want.
So
but anyway,
let's-
so it's
coming back.
Yeah,
so you
so-
came here when?
So I came here on a full scholarship at 13, like
At
you
13,
said.
right.
It was the first time out of the country because I was born in communism, believe it or not. And for those who don't
Oh,
know,
wow.
Albania was the last
Before
country
84?
in Europe.
I'm assuming.
Yeah. So
We got your age.
darn it. But so born in communism, but raised in technically socialism, right?
Yes.
So
Transition babies, we call them.
yeah, transition babies, God.
The
And
80s.
it's so weird when I was actually thinking about should I talk about this because it's so weird,
No,
know that
it's not.
we
It's
no
part
but
of
it's-
history. Yeah.
no part of history, but I'm saying that it's so weird because I came here so many years ago, not 20 some years ago, right? So I feel like whoa, when I look at the horrors of my childhood. I didn't understand it because my parents
That's
tried to
true.
shield me
Yeah.
from it, but I understood, and I've seen one horrible thing that maybe I shouldn't mention it here, but I was really young. Like I saw a hung person because he stole
Me
a
too.
sewing machine,
Me too.
and I was 5 years old. So it's just, and and then you come here and a free country, and it's just so weird. But that perseverance, so my mom persevered so hard. She's like, you have to play the cello. You have to, because
So she was the one who kept pushing.
yeah, because I had talent. Apparently, I don't remember, but I had talent. So she would push me, and then I won some kind of competition.
Okay.
And in my city and country, and then I was one of the youngest kids. There were like three other kids who were chosen, and then we, when the borders opened up, this priest came, and he was a musician, and he auditioned some people to, some kids to bring them to the Vatican.
Okay.
Right. And so I was chosen. I had this like huge competition. And then I was like, that's literally the first time that I
Traveled
I saw and I realized how the cello, this piece of wood that I had hated my whole life from
Yeah.
like 5 years old.
How
until
powerful
then.
it could be.
How powerful. And when I went there, how appreciative the people were and how much they loved classical music. And how, people in my city, Shkodra, there, and Albania, all over, we are very well educated in music. We love music. We love all kinds of music. So, but the classical music, right? We didn't, besides orchestras, we didn't see soloists a lot, and all that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
there was no real life
You
for
couldn't
me.
really envision what your life would be in the future
Yes.
if you remained in Albania
Exactly.
at that time.
Right, exactly. And I just thought I would be a teacher, just like my teachers, sitting there. But it opened my eyes, and I started really not just like loving it because it was an incentive, right? It was an incentive. At 13 years old, it's first time technically out of the country, and you see this amazing, beautiful Italy, and we performed all over, and so people were so appreciative.
Let's talk about now your journey to America.
Yeah.
You got your scholarship. You came
Yeah.
to America.
Right.
And
And
talk about what did you think the first time you came here of
God, I hated it.
Same here. Yeah.
I thought that I very often every immigrant, I think we have that what I call it the horror 2 years, the 2 years of
Culture
horror.
shock. Maybe horror
Yeah.
is, a strong word.
hers?
but
Hers
sure.
is probably horror.
For me, it was horror because I'm sure your audience knows that we are very. Like our families are traditional, and
Yeah.
you come here, it's a complete culture shock, and which is beautiful because it's liberating, right? But it's a culture shock, and then I didn't speak English very well, obviously, and I was right away to go. I had to take a test, and it was right away to go to college, right? Because technically, I had finished my high school, earlier, like a year, because I said I finished 5 years old. So, I came here, and it was so horrible. I couldn't.
And what age you came here?
So 17,
17,
almost
okay.
18. Technically 18 in January, but I came in August. But it was so hard. And then I, it's true. I
You went straight into the real world.
Yeah, right,
without
straight-
any real adjustment.
Exactly. And so I, honestly, I cried my bathtub for every single night, I think for a year straight.
Wow.
Because also my mom couldn't get the visa. My dad came with me, but because Albania was so poor, my dad, because they give one of your parents a visa if you're like under 21 or something like that. So the embassy had no printer, really. So when they printed my father's visa, it was completely faded. So my father couldn't come with me until a month after, right? Because it took a month to print the visa again in his passport. So I was here
So
technically.
you're by yourself for a month?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had cousins, and I had someone who I was, seeing and knowing.
Dating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I can't, but it was really difficult. And then the schooling is very difficult. It's different here. It's very different from us.
Yeah.
I came here, and they called me a very raw talent. So I had to completely change my whole way of performing and practicing, and they like things more polished and not so. In the beginning of your career, they don't like you to be so passionate. I when I played, I am like that. So they wanted people and to be more
Like more serious and more like
more strict.
no less emotions.
Yeah, less emotions, more focused. It was a completely different from
Different style.
Yeah, like from something that I was a natural. I had to be a rigid and to continue.
Because when you would play, you would feel the music, feel the
Yes,
emotion, and you just
exactly.
let it out.
Right,
now
and-
they
and
wanted you kind of to stay reserved.
Yes, more reserved and more, and so those were the times. And then also, if you were, believe it or not, there was so much misogynist thing when I came here and I started, even in college, right? I was practicing 9 hours, 10 hours a day, right? So that's what you do. And even though I was, if not the best, one of the best in my college, the pretty girls always, not just me, there were other beautiful, really smart and talented girls, that we went to college. They always would put us on the back of the orchestra and on the inside, because the culture, the classical world for a long time had this vision of you have to be ugly, no makeup, and not
Really?
pretty. Yes, 100%.
Wow. I
And
didn't
you
know
had
that.
to be very,
Because it was
very
about-
bland.
It was
the
about them
music.
appreciating the music and not looking at the person.
Yes, it always had been there until literally past.
That's
Maybe
Ah.
the opposite of the pop culture, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5, 10. Like if you, for a long time, I loved to play. Now I do, right? But for a long time, I loved to play an electric cello. It was like a dream, like a secret dream I had, right? Because I would never tell a professional person that I can play the electric cello just for fun, right?
So you can play the electric cello too.
Of course, I can play.
She can play anything.
Exactly. Technically, I can play every instrument. But I'm just saying the culture. And then, let's say maybe 8 to 10 years ago, this completely changed, this completely shattered, with the electric violins and people and doing this, and people started loving it more, right? Because the classical world is so rigid. Like all of my concerts for 10 years or 15 years when I first started, I would never see someone, unless they were forced there, and they were a child with their grandparents. I would never see somebody under 55 or something like that. I would never see my concert. But everybody, I told everybody that, in my bios, always my very first concert, that my first sentence in my bio was born and raised in Albania, right? I didn't say Shkodër, Albania. So people had no idea where Albania was, so they thought that I was from Albany, New York.
Because that's what they call them, Albanians.
Albany. And so I was like, no. And I didn't realize, no. I said, no, Albany, like Europe. They're like, Albany? There's an Albany in Europe? I'm like, no, Albania. Like there's a country, actually.
Yeah.
So people had no idea where this was. So there was the beginnings. And then there's...
This is what, the late 90s, early 2000s?
Early 2000s. And the competition is one of the, I know people don't realize the world of classical music, but it's, I mean, when I tell you 10 hours, it's not enough practicing. Now you can, people have carpal tunnel syndrome, people have back surgery, serious back surgeries. People can't play anymore. People literally become paralyzed from so much practice, right? Because you're always like practicing sitting down. And only recently, I think about 3-4 years ago, actually, the insurance, the sports insurance now
Covers it?
Now cover these injuries for classical musicians.
Wow.
Because until then, you had to be like, I hurt myself or I was holding. You couldn't say that I was practicing because the insurance would be like, what? So
That is crazy.
Yeah,
That is very interesting.
yeah. So, but like the competition was unbelievable.
So it seems like you're very passionate about it, for you to go through all this
Yes.
pains and suffering to play the cello.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about, because I know you performed in countries all over the world, from Mexico to Afghanistan.
Yeah, I went to Afghanistan. Can you
What?
fathom?
What happened there?
Well, throughout my life here, when I came, people come and see you in concerts in Carnegie Hall, and so people approach you and they say, "Hey, would you like to play in a fundraising concert?" So I started doing all these fundraisers, and I would say yes to all the fundraisers, especially for children. So someone from the embassy, from the Afghanistan embassy here in America, had seen me in a concert, and then said, we have this program that we are trying to do. So what happened is that there's this guy from Afghanistan. He's actually a clarinetist, and he plays with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra in London, in UK. And because of this, he left Afghanistan early, right? And it's like a child, and then he was able to make a good life for himself in UK. He opened this school, but it's a surreptitious school. It's a school that, first of all, no one knows. It's in Kabul. No one knows that girls and boys are within the same building. But not only, it's supposedly that they go to study, Islam and to study, Quran and everything. But besides that, they do study. But besides that, it's like a normal school. He wanted them to be like a normal school, right? To be with boys, with different kids.
Yeah.
But besides that, surreptitiously, he started a music program. So a lot of artists, like well-known artists from all over the world, believe it or not, have been in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a friend of mine, a colleague from mine from Juilliard School, he was there. He technically started this orchestra, this little orchestra, because they were playing like classical music everywhere, like little here and there. But these kids were going they were taking the bus 2.5 hours, right? Only the parents knew where they were going. They were taking the bus 2.5 hours to come to this school in Kabul and to be there at 7 a.m. morning. So think about it. They were waking probably up at 4 o'clock, and take the bus, come in there to learn music.
Wow.
So my friend says, and I have girls, he goes, now that are interested in playing the cello, and I've been showing them your videos.
Okay.
Oh, so to have you there.
Yeah, and he said, you're like their idol, and you look so pretty. And I was like, oh my God, what are you saying? Are you teaching them a cello, or are you teaching them to be in trouble? They're like, no. He goes, please, it would be amazing. I've been here for 1.5 years. Because it's a school, the Taliban doesn't really bother us, and they don't bomb us, and everybody knows that it's a school for children, and they're studying Quran, and they don't know, right? So, but now the funny thing is that when I was there, and probably still, music is not allowed in Afghanistan. You are not allowed to even whistle, or you die, right? So, because music, they think that music brings this passionate side that it's unholy.
Were you not scared, knowing all this, to go to?
Yeah, you know what? That's what my father said. He's like, either you've lost your mind. My father said, they were so upset with me, and he said, well, I'm not going to come and pick up your pieces, meaning like your body pieces, because they're going to be blown up. I was like, I don't need anybody. I'm an adult.
The passion that she has for the cello and knowing,
These
that she can impact these girls' lives is what drove you.
These girls were literally risking their own lives to come and take lessons from someone who played the violin technically, right? So I can teach violin, I can teach everything, I can teach clarinet, all of it. But I'm not like a clarinetist. I'm not a cellist. I mean, I'm not a violinist, right? So they were coming to learn, and the parents.
How can she say no? She can't say no.
The parents wanted something better for their children, right? And these
I
girls,
get it.
and so, and I was like, no, I know you get it, but I'm just saying, and it was something I couldn't say no. And he said, I've been here. It's only 2 weeks. Come, let me tell you, it was an eye opening. I thought I had a hard life, in Albania, poor, whatever, I have never been more inspired in my life.
So a different level over there.
Out of anything else in my life, out of anything else that I've been, all the countries that I've been to really poor places in China. They still have food, they still have things. There's no real terror of being bombed or killed any minute, right? But I have never seen anything so hard and so hurtful and so tragic like I've seen in Afghanistan, in Kabul.
So when you came back to America after that, like what was the main takeaway that you had that impacted your life from this experience?
Well, it was thankfulness. At that time I had been in America for quite some time, almost like 14 years, 10 years, 14 years or something like that. And I was like, I've become a ungrateful American.
Okay.
And
so you appreciate everything that
I was like, wow,
because you almost forgot about your hardships in those 14 years.
and right, I mean, you kind of forget, right? I mean, we had scarcity for food in Albania, right? So my lunch, my parents would pack me a little sandwich, and then my friends would eat half of it, right? And then I would eat like one bite because everybody was so hungry. I mean, thankfully, I was the only child, so my parents could afford to feed me well and to keep me well, right? But other kids, and so I thought that, wow, nobody had it harder than the Albanians.
You realize that,
and then you go to a place like Kabul and you see these kids, and there's the eyes of these children is something that no artist, no videographer, no one in this world has captured the
soul,
the
soul of the eyes from these kids. It's anger, it's desperation, it's passion to survive. It's everything. I had never seen. It's hope. I've never seen looks on a human being, the looks that I saw on those kids.
Wow.
And that was part of the inspiration.
I was the best. And so it was kind of like a calling, And so now, believe it or not, they're doing great. And a lot of those kids, girls and boys, well, technically now they made a girls' orchestra and they went to Germany.
Oh, wow.
And they performed. And then now they just came, and I couldn't go. I was busy. They just performed the Afghan National Orchestra, technically called. They just performed in Carnegie Hall. Like 3 days ago or something like that, and I just missed it. I was so sad.
Like, for you, it's like you saw where they started and where they
it was an unbelievable, proud. I've only was there for 2 weeks, but it's just such.
So you had a contribution into that, right? Somewhat, little, or
of course, but a small one compared to what my friend who started and stayed there for many years. And it's so interesting because when I came back literally on my birthday, on January 13th, and 1 week later, the only place where we're allowed to go eat, the only place, was bombed.
Wow.
Yeah. And the only place that I went there maybe 3 times, it was catering to the foreigners. And it was, if I tell you, it's like, you have never seen even movies like that. Like just to get to the actual restaurant was a 3-mile walk. With like barriers, with barricades, with this, and then people would open a hole, and so anyways, and so you're like, wow, I'm so thankful for my life, and I will never complain, which I still do, but quite a bit.
Let's talk about your time again when you were in America, when you first came here.
Yeah.
Did you have I know you said you had some family that were here, but did you have like an Albanian community you could have resorted to, or
my only link to Albanian community was you. That's why in the beginning of interview,
I did not know that.
Right, I did. The beginning, I said, all my concerts, I would meet all these people, and I had no idea what Albania was. And because classical music wasn't, we didn't have enough classical musicians coming at that time. I knew no one that was here. I had no contact with the Albanian community, and I didn't know. I didn't know
I
because
had
there was no
no
real
idea.
computers.
So in 2011, I saw your LinkedIn
Yes.
profile, and I was like, "Wow, look at Gjilberta."
Yeah.
I saw your last name. I saw your first name. I'm like
Yeah.
Albanian and
Yeah.
cellist, and I was
Yeah.
reading your bio. And at that time, we were organizing for the Albanian-American Medical Society the first gala event where we were honoring Farid Murati.
A Nobel Prize
the
winner.
Nobel
Yeah.
Prize winner.
Yes.
And I reached out to you to
Yes.
see if you can come play at that event.
Yes.
Until right now,
Is
I
that
didn't
cool?
know that you had no connection to Albanian
Zero.
before that.
Zero. All of the people that, after concerts, people, classical concerts, if they like your concert, people stay literally 2 hours online to talk to you, right? I was always hoping for all those years to find one Albanian, right? And I was like, hey. And then,
How
that's
many years later was that? Like 14 years later?
Yeah, 14 years later. About 14 years later,
Through LinkedIn.
I knew like cousins of cousins, but
Right.
they didn't even come to my to my concerts. I was
Right.
like, okay, so I was like, okay, classical music doesn't exist for the diaspora of Albanians, so they like, more like traditional music, which I love, right? But so yeah, that was it. And
At the Harvard Club.
At the Harvard, and it was so amazing, and I loved it. And I thought her and her sisters. I thought they were the most beautiful women that I had ever seen. I still do. So you're so lucky.
Yes, indeed. So I agree with you. With the Albanian community is wasn't so much in tune back then with classical music. I think it's gotten better now.
Much better. We
How are you
have-
connected now? Yeah.
We recently went to an event where the Shira had with
The Shira Mehdi,
Yeah.
she's a soprano opera singer.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
played
you
with her.
played with
Yeah,
her.
many
Yes.
times. Yeah, we
and
actually
we enjoyed it. Actually, it was a very good.
It was a whole auditorium full
yes.
of
So I
individuals
think
listening
it's
to all
getting
different forms
better
of classical
now.
music.
Much better. We have now amazing singers, right? Like opera singers, and we have, all these classically
Pianists.
trained,
Yep.
pianists, all these
Pianists,
classically trained people, and actually
Coming together more.
and because there's also more influx, right? It was difficult
Yeah.
to come that time
Right.
in
Right.
like 1999 when I first came here. It's like so it was difficult
And also
for
the
people to get visas.
quality
Yeah.
of life changes throughout time too.
Of course.
In the beginning, everyone's worried about making money,
And they were on survival mode.
Survival mode.
Everybody's
right?
on
Now
survival
they're
mode,
more
yeah.
comfortable, more
Yeah.
relaxed. They want to enjoy different things.
Absolutely.
And with age, obviously, the
Yes.
older you get, you
Yeah,
enjoy
thanks.
different. No, I include myself into that as well.
But so then we started this. I wanted to do something with the Albanian community, right?
Yeah.
So Ergin Noda, amazing baritone singer, right?
yes.
He's like powerful.
I've been to a few of your concerts with you, Ergin,
yeah.
Dashida was
we have
there, a
the
few
Oda.
others.
Yeah, we had the Oda Quartet. We
Yes.
started this Oda Quartet, kind of like making cool music and the normal pop songs, kind of like, but making more like wonderful, and adding some Albanian music into it, so
Nice.
people can be more aware of the Albanian musical style.
Yeah.
And so Ergin was the driving force to start this really important event, which now has become kind of a staple all over.
I look forward to it every year. When you make-
For the whole Albanian community, it's called Vendim, which is called My Country,
Nice.
and we bring all these unbelievably singers and some dancers, and we have
Does it still happen now? Or
we every single year now.
okay.
Actually, it has become kind of like a national treasure. I don't know how to explain it from Albania, but the embassies and everything, they know. So we're on the roster for that specific date, like in February.
Okay.
That we go every different place now to perform because it has
nice.
become so well known and people love it everywhere.
And
So
what I love is the way they do the concerts is they'll have songs that are from Germany, from Spain, from like all different places. But at the end, that's when they play all their Albanian songs,
Yes.
and the whole crowd starts clapping. They get into it. They start singing.
yeah,
It's
and now more and more we're just doing a lot more Albanian songs. We just couldn't find enough people to sing all these
Right.
Yeah.
Albanian songs, right? And then now we have so many amazing singers like Flaka Klerane, like obviously the Shira.
Oh, I know Flaka. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just saying like pop and modern and cool and sexy and traditional and
Right.
everything and classical and
Yes,
so
and
we're
you
like
kind of
a
merge
whole-
them all together.
Yeah, so it's amazing.
It's a
amazing.
fun concert. So if you ever see that concert,
Yeah,
Well, let us
Vendim,
know.
Vendim, just go. It's all over. It's all over the news.
Let us know when that is, and we'll definitely come
and we'll
support.
push it out for you.
Yes.
So you've collaborated with major artists, right?
Yes, I did.
Across the board. What has been your most memorable one that you want to share with us, collaborating with some of these artists?
Well, I mean, I have performed for, Joe Biden when he was more in tune with, with fame.
Well,
So,
that's performance. I'm talking about
Yeah.
collaborations with artists.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
So, I have, Beyonce, I would say.
Really?
So
Okay.
we were playing in a concert, and I was hired in a string quartet, and we were doing a concert, right? So it had to be televised, and
Okay.
there was going to be a live audience, but it was kind of like a televised thing. So we're working, and we're just rehearsing, right? And I was like, what the heck? We sound perfect, right? And so after a while, they tell us, okay, you go home. And then I literally came back about 10 hours later. No, yeah, like about 6, 7 hours later. The girl was still on stage rehearsing. This was
Wow.
22 hours.
Beyonce was on stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I asked, did she leave? And they're like, no, she ate here. She didn't take a nap. She ate here. She just relaxed for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then she
started again.
started again. I had never seen, I thought, like I said in the beginning.
I thought you 9-10 hours.
9-10 hours a day. I thought I was like the best, right?
Yeah.
I was like, nobody did more, nobody sacrificed more than me. Even like classical musicians usually play 6, 7, 8 hours, right? But 9 hours a day, right? I was so humbled. I was so humbled from the perfectionist, because to be a classical musician, you got to be a little bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I was so humbled from that experience. I literally was like the next day, right? That morning, and she was still there. She was like still there.
Wow.
And she had never left. I mean, they had showers and everything, but she was still there. She had never slept in it. And then we taped the show.
And then you just mentioned that you played for Joe Biden,
Yeah.
Barack Obama as well.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I played for a lot of, I don't know. There's people come to my concerts and they like classical music, so they reach out. And actually, for that event, it was Richard Luca.
Yes.
Yeah, he does a lot of fundraising in
Yes.
Connecticut, right? So he had seen me and he says, I have this very important event, but you need to go through a background check and things like that. So
Okay.
And he probably didn't tell you why.
yeah, and he's like, it's very important. They're senators and all these, I was like, yeah, I played for senator. I played for many different like important people, senators, presidents, and like Mexico president and all these like other.
Right.
It's like I never needed to be background checked, but okay, no problem. And so then he's like, literally, after I was, cleared, then he told me who was going to be. And so we did, and I played very
Were you
little.
nervous, or for you, you're just playing music?
No, I wanted to meet him, like it was fun. And unfortunately, Obama didn't come until later, but he was still there. But Joe Biden heard me and he loved it, and he said he played the cello. I think he probably made it up, but who knows? Because he was like, when I was little in 4th grade, I had to carry my cello for like a mile to go to the bus. And I was like, wow, it's amazing. But then I went on Google later, and I was like, oh my God, there's no
record of
no
that.
record, but
No
still,
record.
he might have done it. He might have done
Back
it.
then, they didn't have it.
It's true. They didn't have it. So it might have been true.
Who's documented what he did at fourth
grade? Yeah, exactly. Like, who knows? But anyways, it was funny, and then and it was a humbling experience, and it's wonderful. You feel really great. At that time he was vice president. So
Have you performed for any of the Albanian politicians, like president and prime minister and all that?
of course, well, I was. This sounds like I'm showing off.
No,
Gjilberta is bragging.
Yeah, I can't
That's
be
the whole
bragging,
point. About the,
You're not here. You're not bragging. You're just saying your experience.
I mean, I was in 2016 and 2018, and then
Okay.
2019. I was in one of the 50 most. One of the 100 most important Albanian-Americans for
Okay.
our community.
So
from
you were
the president.
nominated as one of the 100 most accomplished Albanian Americans.
Accomplished. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
And then in 2019, literally right after my wedding, I was invited by Lermeta to go to his palace, one of the 50 women that he had gathered throughout from Albania, from all of the diaspora,
From all the diaspora, yeah.
and to honor them, for their work and for what they had done and for
Oh, very
everything.
nice.
Yeah, so literally it was, right after my wedding. It was
So
so
it's like
amazing.
when you like just thinking back of like when you left Shkodër and
Yeah.
now you're coming back to Albania.
You know, that's it's so important that you just said that you're reading my mind. You know, always I didn't go to Albania for a very long time because I said to myself, once I go back, I want to go back like somebody.
Right.
Well,
look how you came back.
I want to be known. You know, I want to go back like with,
I know you made
accomplishment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting because I was invited, right? That's the whole reason. I wanted, that I was invited to go right after my wedding and to give this little speech. I didn't know I was going to give a speech in front of all those cameras and all those TV stations, but they put me in front. And, and it was just so important. And then as I'm giving this speech, this 5-minute speech in front of everybody, something in me, I was like, oh my God, you realize your dream. You wanted to go back and to give
you just kept working,
young people,
one step at a time. You made it.
Yeah, like I was like, you wanted to go back like someone and to show people everything is possible, no matter what. Hard work. I mean, we all know what it means as immigrants to be hard, to have hard work, but it was just so important. I said, oh my gosh. And, and I'm so proud to be Albanian. I'm always like, we're the best.
So for our viewers, where can we find your music? I know you've been involved in a couple of different, you have some solo pieces, but you also have with what was they?
Yeah, my trio. So I'm a soloist technically, and I have actually I've given premieres of cello concertos, U.S. premieres of cello concertos.
Where can we find your music?
My website is one of them. Although I'm one of those typical musicians that doesn't know, and just unless my friend, updates my website and he's like, Gjilberta. But yes, my Gjilberta.com, and it's spelled GJILBRTA.com, and also Facebook and Instagram.
So through the social media platform.
Through social media platform, I'm all over there. But again, the best thing is to look and to reach out and then to come see me performing, because
right.
I'm not a bragging person. I don't post a lot of videos, really,
As far as monetizing, because I know it's a tough you can't really sell through those platforms. They can know about you through the platforms, but as far as like monetizing, this talent, you can only do that through concerts, right, and through performances.
Performance and teaching. I also teach, and I'm a very sought after teacher for cello.
So you teach as well.
Oh yeah, I have a big
private
studio.
lessons. So you have classrooms and private lessons.
Yeah, I have. I'm very very busy.
Do you have any Albanian kids?
Not yet. I have been. I know of one Albanian girl who I think lives near Boston, who is playing the cello.
Okay.
Oh.
And so her mom reached out. It was wonderful, but I offered free lessons, but they didn't take me up on it.
Well, this could be a nice announcement.
I would love to teach Albanian kids.
We have Albanian schools, and
yes, I know we have the
music
Albanian
is not really. I think
that would be nice to expand.
Because
they're doing dance, they're doing the language. It would be nice to get into
classical music. Yeah, it would be wonderful because I also have a master's in music education and from NYU, and when I did my thesis, early child music, classical music in early childhood development develops the myelin brain, the gray area, so much more than other people who do not.
And you can retain more information.
You can retain so much more information. And my whole thesis was on how much it was more like medical than anything musical technically, but it was how classical music, and especially if you engage a young child in any kind of instrument learning.
Interesting. Okay.
It actually, even for people in retirement homes, right? They have done so many research that if you start, doesn't matter what age you are, if you start playing an instrument, your people with Alzheimer's, their memory comes back.
Oh, wow.
It's very fascinating.
It's very fascinating.
What music does to the brain.
Yeah. But it has to be an instrument. So it has to be learning how to play an instrument with your mind, or because I know I say this, and sometimes I'm, reproached for it, but, sports are great, right?
Yeah.
But you are looking at one thing and you're going with your body.
It's physical. Right?
It's physical and you're going there. Cello is classical music or learning an instrument. It's not just, you first of all process it, you read it, and it's not letters, right? You got to learn the
music notes.
There's no note, and there's so many different clefs that you have to be. So think of like languages. There's so many
learning another language.
It's like math. Learning math.
It's math. It is very very close to math. Classical music has shown to be completely close to math.
It's language, math, all combined.
Yes, the science is right. So, but you're doing two different things with two hands. There's no instrument that you do same thing, right? Like even as the piano, you're like left does something else, right does something else.
Right.
Same thing,
Cello,
clarinet. Left is doing something right.
You
yeah.
can't. Everything is doing something differently, and your body, and you have to be stiff, and you have to be great, and then you are processing. Your mind is processing right there, right then, right? So there's just so much happening in the brain that it's never that much engaged.
You know, the first music that I was introduced to was classical music. My mother used to play. I mean, she tells us this because I don't remember. Thank
And
you.
your
My
sister.
mom's, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She used to play always classical music, Mozart, Beethoven,
Yes.
from when we were literally newborn straight home.
She's a smart woman.
And she
yeah, very
always
smart.
played it, and we always slept through classical music.
Yes, exactly.
Because
yes.
she wanted the music to get into our ears. She wanted us to
yeah, it's just in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's some of the best, and for
and
the
classical
viewers.
music specifically.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Classical music, specifically, especially for young kids, it's one of the best thing you could do. You know, until they're like 10, 12 years old, and hopefully by then they're picking up an
So
instrument.
I think there is an opportunity here because I know there's a few Albanian schools in the community, and I know they do not incorporate music or classical music as much into their programs.
Even if you start with 4 or 5 kids.
Not even one. Or
Yeah,
two.
yeah, one would be great
You
to
don't,
like have
you don't
one
need
child.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
You need only one that actually comes from the community.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like, it's
And I would-
That's how
important.
it grows.
And I would say this: I would not charge that child as long as it was able to come, hopefully, to Manhattan, because that's where I live. And because I'm so busy, I'm always rehearsing and stuff like that. But as long as they came to Manhattan, to my studio,
Well, I mean,
your
don't
free
say,
lessons.
don't say free lessons. Maybe the first or two.
Okay, but you know, meaning like
He's
the
going to be your manager.
Yeah, let me manage.
Irvin,
Yeah,
okay,
let me be
manager.
your
Okay,
manager
whatever
on that one.
Irvin says, I do. Irvin is my new manager. I'm sorry, the other ones that I have.
No, but I think it's important. I think that we have someone like you in the community. We're not taking advantage of
It's true.
for the community to incorporate that into
But
our
the Albanian
programs.
Live TV like always covers my concerts and everything.
Yes.
You know, they're so amazing.
But we have the satellite TV in our house, and when my father would flip the channels, and he sees, he's like, "Oh, Gjilberta's on."
yeah, I know. And it's so funny because they keep doing because they haven't been lately to a few of my
just
concerts.
repeats.
It's repeats, and it's like still the same concert. It's like, oh yeah, but it's easy because we're not there or something. But
I do want to mention also that your music has been featured in publications like New York Times and Vogue Italy.
yeah, and many other magazines that people that came and.
These are the most prestigious ones.
Okay.
She wants to make sure everybody is
Yes, and
recognized.
the thing is that so those are great, and I'm thankful, but all the magazines and all the newspapers and all the interviews like I've given actually in Albanian channels, those are my favorites.
Okay. Any particular ones?
I
stand out?
recently was on a TV show in Albania.
Yeah, many pretty much I've done all the TV shows, and just recently, like a couple of weeks ago, I for this forgot. It's a radio show who's also transcribed not, but like shown in China.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's an Albanian show. I forgot. If you go to my,
A
you'll
radio
see.
show?
Yeah, it's a radio show.
Okay.
And he was wonderful. Gazman Dag, I think his name. I forgot. Now, it's something with Now, Radio Now, or something like that. It's called.
Okay.
And it was really interesting. And I didn't realize that Albanian.
They were broadcasting
podcasts
in China.
In China, yeah, they were broadcasting in China. So
Very
It was
interesting.
really interesting. Yeah.
So there are people in China who know who Gjilberta is. So all you
Pretty
Albanians now should know who Gjilberta is.
I performed in China actually. That was also my second most wonderful
Experience.
experience in China. Like,
Any countries that you like to haven't performed yet that you would love to perform?
Yeah, but I don't think India would like to bring me there. But I'd love to go to India.
Oh, I've been to India.
Oh, you have? No, you didn't like it. Okay.
I mean,
No, I know, but just the thing, I'd love to go to India, but maybe just I can go for fun. And Australia, I've been invited
that's
to
a good one.
Australia many times, but
Well, if you go to Australia, girls trip.
yes,
Unless you want to come.
absolutely. Boys trip too.
yeah, I want
Yes,
to come too.
yes. Daniel,
I'm
my husband
naturally
will
always saying girls trip.
girls trip. We can do girls trip because they will stay local and have fun in the swimming pools and
have our
things
own
like
fun,
that.
don't worry.
And then we're gonna go around. But yeah, but Australia, it is something that I have not performed yet. So, and it never worked out. But I perform pretty much everywhere besides Antarctica.
Oh, okay.
That'd be
Maybe
interesting for the
seals.
penguins.
Yeah, for penguins and seals. That would be nice. That would be nice. Classical music, Actually, classical music I don't know if you've seen some videos, but maybe I'm just the only one who sees these weird videos. But it was being played for cows for a while. Classical
cows?
music. Yes, and it was the cows
Okay.
without hormones, without anything. They were producing about 12 gallons more of milk.
Wow.
per-
Because it's probably like just
Soothing.
activating the
Relaxing.
yes.
and then also for horses, which is my favorite.
I love
I
horses.
think when they play music when they want to butcher them, so the muscles relax. When
I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope so.
I don't know. I think I seen that somewhere
Yeah.
where when they
I
when
love
they're about-
animals.
when they're about to cut their head,
Yeah.
they play music so they're all
Yeah, to make it
relaxed.
kosher. I
Yeah.
hope so. I hope so.
So the muscle is not so tense.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, but they done all these like weird studies around the world. Classical music.
Looking ahead, what are your future goals now? Like, what's something that you want to accomplish? that
That's
you
a
still
great question
You still haven't
you
accomplished yet?
accomplished. Yeah, you accomplished what you set when you were younger.
Yeah.
and made it
Well,
back
having
to
a
being-
family,
Yeah.
Very good.
working on that,
Yes. That's an
a
important one.
certain age, you reach a certain age and you see, everybody in New York, it's, always career driven. And so I didn't want to be a failure. I'm the only child. There was a lot of,
So
pressure.
yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
pressure you put on yourself more than family put on you.
Absolutely. I mean, our families, how they are, like they would love us no matter what.
Yeah.
As long as we didn't kill somebody.
Right.
And then they like kill us.
But even then, they'll
Even then they would be like, it's
they make
okay.
an
I'm sure
exception.
some
You had a
person
reason.
deserves- Yeah. We have, I think, the most amazing parents, But having a family would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And to share, I've always wanted to open a school for underprivileged children. That's actually has been always my dream.
very nice.
And that's why I've given so many concerts for charities, for children's charities.
Right.
Nice.
And as a matter of fact, my husband is the vice chair, I think that's exactly what. Okay. And he has so many different titles, but for ICMEC, which is International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they are the people who technically invented the Amber Alert.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we actually, through our connections and in Albania, we just a few months ago we actually opened an Amber Alert in Albania.
No way.
Yeah,
Very
with
nice.
with the embassy, with the American embassy. I mean,
That's a cool
Albanians don't pay
project.
any money or anything like that, but
Yeah.
it's just like, so they're all over the country, right? They
That's very nice.
That's a very cool
yeah,
project.
they're all over the world, right? They're like in I
Yeah.
don't know 100 and some countries.
but thank you for bringing that to Albania because
Yeah, and I wanted to do it because now people
But
tourists are
I'm
going
sure
there.
we all
and-
know what Amber Alert is, but just in case there's someone who out there
Yeah.
doesn't know, can you just explain?
Yeah, so the Amber Alert is when anyone is missing, but technically someone sees, and then there are notifications on newspapers, there are notifications on TV
Billboards too,
stations, on
Your cell
Billboards?
phones,
their cell phones, exactly.
billboards. Yeah.
Right. Wherever you drive, you see like these little banners, hey, Toyota, this and this,
Right, right,
ending,
right.
gray Toyota, child missing, person missing. It tells you who they are.
Yeah.
And so everybody gets them on their cell phones. And so we have incorporated that. And I'm so proud of him for doing
That's
that.
amazing.
Obviously, and Albania for wanting
Yes,
wanting
thank
to
you.
save their children. It's mostly for children because, okay,
Yeah.
you're adults who have mental disabilities
A lot of them
and
with
things like that.
Alzheimer's. You see with dementia, Alzheimer's, they get lost.
Yeah, people get lost, they get missing. And so
This is most geared to human trafficking, I'm assuming, right?
it's
And-
exactly, yeah. It's just amazing. So we both work so hard in this child protection.
That's
Me
very
for
nice, yeah.
concerts and him, but we are like, so technically,
You know,
We're
I
working through
definitely, knowing you, I know that you're going to make your dream come true of opening up a school for underprivileged children. And I wish you a lot of luck in that.
thank you. You're my bestie. Thank you.
You'll definitely succeed.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, and if not, it's always I can still continue giving just charity
Free
concerts
lessons.
and charity concerts, and so I've tried to help kids in Albania, in my city especially. I also send many, many instruments to Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
After I came back, I gathered up luthiers and everything. I sent a whole huge container of instruments to Afghanistan, to Mexico, and to Barbados. I've sent, so at least I'm trying to make some kind of impact because I know what it means for a child, instead of like going in the streets and
Play an
doing
instrument.
crazy
Well,
things,
You can even open up a musical school here for the community here as well. It doesn't have to be for,
Right. Yeah, I would absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to do right now. So hopefully,
you open it up here.
Yeah,
and
the people come.
Your manager's gonna make sure that they pay, and
I
then the fundings can go to the underprivileged.
That will be great. I'm bad in business. All classical musicians are really bad in business. I can assure you. I mean, we barely update our website, but thank God we got one.
What advice would you give to young musicians, knowing what you went through now, for those who are inspiring to become, musicians themselves?
I think, it might sound cliche, but you cannot stop.
Even if you think you don't like the instrument, you have to give it a chance.
No, you cannot stop. If you have a talent, and you have the talent, there is no way that you're going to make it on pure talent. It's the hard work and the people who work really hard that will overcome you. So, okay, it's great to have a talent, but it's the work that you put in on everything. And so if you like it, then, you find ways to stick with it. And for everybody else, unless you really get to that breaking point, to that emotional, psychological breaking point, you're never going to make it, So unless you bring yourself to that, that's when everything happens in the universe, I think, at least for me. And especially for niches like this, like in a classical music, or you want to be a singer, or you want to be, there's millions of singers, there's millions of cellists, there's millions of people, right? But unless you really work so hard that you are at the breaking point, I think, and I from my professional point of view, for my classical, I've seen people make it, right? I mean, I was in college. My parents had given me, it's funny, my parents had given me $10,000 to and that was early 2000, right? To go to college. And I was taking people out, and then I went through it a whole year.
Okay.
Right? Because I didn't realize, I thought that money grows, I don't know. Right? My parents were working, and my mom. And for 3 years later, I lived on because I was embarrassed to tell my parents that I had gone through it. I lived on $25 a week. And it's true. All my friends know. I bought eggs, cheese, and milk. That was my diet for almost 3 years, literally. And because I was so embarrassed to tell people that I didn't have money.
Eggs, cheese, and milk, you can't even
afford it now.
You can't even. No, but I remember all my friends who know me, they're like, Gjilberta, why wouldn't you say that? I mean, look, I would go to my parents every weekend in Boston, lived in Boston, I was practicing. So it isn't that I was starving, but still, I was so embarrassed to say that. But I couldn't work, right? So I couldn't work.
No, because you were practicing.
Because I was practicing all day long and going to college. So my days were 7 to 12 midnight until the Conservatory of Music would close the doors. And then the janitor would throw me out. Me and a few people. So you got to work hard. That's all. That's the only way, And if you have a dream, stick with it. There's no other way to making it in this world. There's so many of us,
Gjilberta, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure of having you and learning more about your story and your
I learned a
challenges.
lot. And I know I've known you for many years. There's a lot that I learned today.
To find Gjilberta, your website?
Gjilberta.com, Gjilberta.com. So Gjilberta with GJ.
We'll put it also.
Yeah, we're also going to promote.
Okay. No need.
Thank you for being here, and we look forward to seeing you live in one of the concerts.
I would love to have you.
When is your next concert, or is it still in the works?
Oh yeah, there's one in Carnegie Hall, late September.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yes,
God willing, we'll be there.
Yes, I would love to have you, and you'll be my guests. And it's a great concert because I'm playing with one of the best violinists of our era.
Nice.
Yeah, he's an icon in the world of music, actually, and he's my idol and he's my dearest friend. So
very nice.
So it's gonna be nice. So come and see him because besides the classical music, he takes out this mean golden electric 6-string violin that you will be blown away.
Okay, we'll be there.
We'll definitely gonna check it out.
I'll give you I don't remember the date exactly.
Let us know.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you for being here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.